Hi, everyone. This is not the ideal setting or lighting to do a YouTube live, but fuck it. When are the conditions ever ideal? Rarely, right? So I'm sitting here waiting for my daughter to take a dance class. So I'm sitting in my car. It's raining out, it's nighttime, and I was just sitting here and the rain was just hitting the car and I was having a quiet moment and I started processing some stuff that's just been kind of perpetually flowing through me lately, and I figured I would document it here because I know that my process coming through in real time helps people who, can relate on whatever level when they watch this, and it's just honest talk. And I mean allowing the flow to come through is therapy. So this is a therapy session for me, conducted by myself, for myself, with you here, just holding space with me if you're here with me, and if you're watching this later, then cool. So yeah, I was just sitting here in the rain, and I had this moment, which I have this moment very often, where I'm like, holy shit, dude. I, like, okay, well, it came up like this. I have, like, a really gnarly pain ongoing in my rib cage, and, when a person who's been through cancer and the horrors of cancer gets, like, pains in their bodies, it's pretty common for us to automatically go to the worst case scenario. And I've had this ongoing pain in my body for a couple weeks now, and I'm like, what the fuck is that, And, like, don't Google shit. Everybody already knows that's, like, rule number one for being a human. Don't Google things you don't feel good about, because all your worst case scenarios will be confirmed. Anyways, I just had this thought of, like, damn, it's crazy that my mind goes there now, and that going through, I actually went through breast cancer. And I have to keep reminding myself of that, because so much of it doesn't feel real. All the way through the process, it didn't feel real. I had to constantly, while I was going through it, remind myself that it was happening to me in my body. I was the person being diagnosed. I was the person going through the treatments. I was the person who was having to make all the decisions. I was the person who was going through all of these horrors, which I've documented in other videos here. And, when someone's undergoing trauma and life and death circumstances, especially like ongoingly, where it's not just like once and then it's done, but it's like they go on and on. I mean, this went on for like a year and a half. There's a lot of disassociating that happens, and I'm just starting to feel like my consciousness is integrating back into my body temple, and I'm starting to feel like, I don't know, it's like kind of like waking up from a really, really horrible dream that wasn't a dream. It was real. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I'm just having this process of like integrating what happened. And I know this is really common for survivors of gnarly trauma, that, after the fact, there's so much work involved in integrating the trauma. And so one of the conundrums that I'm experiencing is that I'm not only like dealing with trauma and integrating it and healing my body, but I'm also simultaneously still living in the world and still, on survival mode on a lot of levels. Like, on certain levels, I'm thriving and I want to celebrate that I'm thriving on the levels of like being connected to myself, being consciously connected to my soul. I think for me, that's the number one way that I can possibly contextualize being a human and begin the thriving process, is that I have conscious contact with my soul, and there's nothing in the fucking world, there's nothing in the universe, multiverse, that could break it. My relationship to myself and my truth, my true essence, is indestructible. And so, you know, as we enter the awakening process, we can't go back to sleep, and we don't want to go back to sleep. I don't want to. I would never want to go back to sleep. But fuck, being awake is sometimes very, very hard. I don't even know how this lighting is. Can you see me? I don't know. So, yeah, part of the challenge is that for those of us that are in survival mode, say we're talking about financial survival mode, self-care is really paramount and simultaneously tricky when you're on financial survival mode, which I am. Single mom vibes right here. And so I'm in a space where, in my life, where my whole focus needs to be devoted to healing. And yet the fact that I live, you know, in the patriarchal capitalistic society, it's not designed for us to take that time away and be woven into a community that keeps things humming and going while you're in the healing, mending aspect, so you can reemerge into health in a natural way, and then again be integrated into the whole, and then hold space for others. And it's like this, it's an exchange, and that's how it was in matriarchal times. It's no longer like that. Now, most people on the planet are struggling to just work really hard to pay rent on a box that to live in that is not even theirs, that never will be theirs. I mean, if you have the luxury of owning a home in this world nowadays, you know, props to you that you figured that one out. But like, that's not the reality for most of us, and it's aggravating, and it's agonizing, and it's enraging that this is the paradigm and this is the structure. And something that I've been able to start articulating better lately and putting words and languaging to is that so much of our self-worth and our self-value is tangled up in how productive we are in a capitalistic society. So like the other day I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about what's my purpose, life purpose, right? She was saying that, trying to figure out what my life purpose is. And I just had this moment where I was like, you're already doing it. You're in a body. That's your purpose, is your soul needs to have this embodied experience, and like every single moment is the path. You are the path. You are the gift. You are all the gifts. And then you infuse that into every single thing that you do. And she said something really important where she was like, yeah, yes, and I still have bills to pay. You know, like that doesn't pay the bills. And I just had this moment where I was like, yeah, that is the thing, where we are so entangled in self-worth being around, if it's not bringing in monetary gain, then it therefore carries less value. And that's just a symptom and a reflection and an idea and a concept and a fucking belief of patriarchal society that has to fucking monetize everything. And, you know, it's like, think about motherhood. That job, that's the hardest job, the most important job that there is on the planet, is to conceive, create, bear, birth. Like, if anybody who knows about birth, who's birthed, you know what I'm talking about. And then not only to birth, but then to care for a life for the rest of your life. That's not paid, ever. Free labor. What's up? Cool channel. Yeah, fucking free labor. It's insane that the most important job on the planet is not honored, it's not valued, it's not recognized, and it's not paid in this monetized world. You know, like in matriarchal world, it didn't need to be paid because we took care of each other and we shared skills, right? But now everything's got to have a fucking price on it in order for it to be of worth. So, and that is tricky for people who are artisans, artists, creators, creatives, people who are doing the passion work. Oh wait, let me see what you said. Will that comment come back? Where'd it go? Try taking a baby out of a hospital without registering it. Whoa. I bet they don't allow that to happen. I'm wondering if you've had that experience. Yeah, I mean, the whole medicalization of birth is just a whole nother fucking crazy ass thing. And the cost even around birth. Who owns that baby? Right. Well, here's the real deal. Once you get a social security number, we aren't shackled slaves anymore. You know, like your social security number is your slave number. You're being tracked for the rest of your life. And now, you know, with technology, they track every fucking move. They monitor everything that we write, everything, every photo, every message, every phone call. My microphone and my camera can be turned around and used to monitor me at any time. There's EMF frequencies coming off of the phone. And then, you know, there's other stuff that I don't even want to get into, but. So here's this thing. It's like, don't let your self-worth get wrapped up in whether you are... Another comment. It went away. I don't know how to do these. Social Security was given to you as a child. Wait, the comments keep going away. It's void on its face because it's illegal to contract with minors. Oh, weird. I don't know if I completely understand the comment, but I think what you're saying is it's like it's assigned to you at birth, but it'll pick up with you in adulthood, maybe? It's crazy. Children have lesser rights. Yeah. Yeah, it's a crazy ass world we live in. So I want to say we have to discern our path and our purpose of being in a human body beyond what the patriarchal institutions demand of us. We didn't come here to be a fucking resource. Yes, we all want to be contributing members of society, but you know, so many of us do the work that is not paid. And so many of us have wounding around receiving money for what we're passionate about and what we do. So many of us have a witch wound and a woman wound. And that goes all the way back, you know, like for how many thousands of years Were we, um, were all those abilities basically like just not honored and taken away from us against our will, um, and our voices were silenced, and the things that we did naturally, we were tortured and killed for. Um, even something as simple as natural childbirth, and letting people be fucking wild animals, because that's what we are. We are wild animals, and we've been domesticated. And, you know, we live in these boxes. We live in these cages. We don't even own them. We pay. We work our asses off to live in boxes that we don't even own, paying somebody else's mortgage. I think I'm just ranting right now because I'm in the space where when I was going through cancer treatment and chemo, I was let go from my job. They dissolved my position. And so I went to be jobless, and then I lost my insurance during cancer treatment. Like, the kind of fuckery that I went through all piled on top of itself was like astronomical. I don't even know. I mean, by the grace of God, I survived the heaps of shit show that I went through. And, now I'm out here on the other side, and I now am working for myself and for Source, and working on healing the shadow around money and receiving money to show up and do a job that I want to do for free. It doesn't resonate to monetize it. Yes, I understand. I've materialized in the third dimension in a capitalistic society that requires me to buy into the system, and, like, the resources that I have to rent right now. Or I mean, I could do like other options of like living in a car or whatever like that, but for now I'm renting. And so it's that whole piece of like stepping in and figuring out how to make a matriarchal mindset work in a patriarchal paradigm. My soul wants to do sharing and exchanging, and my soul wants to show up and do the work just for the love of it. I want to dance. I want to help people make their way through the dark night of their soul. I want to help people learn how to communicate. I want to help people access their truth of who they truly are and love themselves in their wholeness. And, putting a price tag on that is bizarre. It's never made sense to me my whole life. And so I've been doing this meditation where I envision myself. First, I was like, I'm dancing in the stream of abundance. That was my first thought. And then I was like, wait, I'm dancing in the waterfall of abundance. And then I had another thought where I was like, I'm swimming in the ocean of abundance. And when I think about abundance in nature, when I go into nature, it's abundant. There's abundance everywhere. The ocean is vast. All the sea life, all the grains of sand, all the cliffs, all the birds, all the trees, all the plants. That is abundance. And I'm like, yes, nature is affirming our abundance. And so it's like, what is it around the money block? Like, why is there such a block around the money? And, I think part of the piece is like trying to figure out how to make it work in the patriarchal world. And, there's like this whole concept of conscious commerce, sacred commerce. And I mean, I can get with that. I can get with that on a lot of levels, but also it's like, are we just trying to make a corrupt system feel less corrupt? Because capitalism is corrupt. I mean, it's designed from a white supremacist standpoint to serve only very few and to utilize everyone else's resources and to burn them out and to keep them fucking disempowered and to oppress and control, utilizing humans as resources. It's fucked up. And that's something, it makes me think. The other day I made this little dance video on my Instagram stories, and I wrote some words over it where I was like, are you just slugging through a life? Are you just slugging through life, or are you really enjoying life? And I said, so many of us who struggle with depression and anxiety and the stress, the chronic stress of constantly being on survival mode at whatever level of survival mode you're in, it can hijack our happiness. It can rob us of our joy because we get so caught up in the lack and the struggle and the disconnect that we lose contact with, wait, my divine birthright is pleasure. Actually, like, it is my divine birthright to feel pleasure and bliss. I truly believe, because of my own experiences, that our truth is that sublime nectar bliss of love, eternal, everlasting, indestructible. That's what I experienced my true nature to be. And so I think so many of us, when we come in as humans, we have this divine forgetfulness. We forget that we are that. And then we enter these bodies, and then we're in the realm of duality, and then add to the mix that we're in a patriarchal paradigm. I mean, it's like, it takes you deeply into a place of distress for most of us, constant. And then it's hard to drop into self-care because we're so preoccupied. And so I had a lot of people respond to those dance stories where I was talking about that. And a lot of people were like, oh my God, yes. Yes, it is so hard for, the people who wrote to me to source joy and to source peace and relaxation and pleasure and bliss and ease and like enjoyment of life. A lot of people hate their lives. I had a period of time a few years back prior to my cancer diagnosis, connect the dots, where I was in such a state of distress that sometimes I'd be like, I hate my life. Like, I just couldn't, it didn't make sense. It was just so stressful. And so we lose the conscious connection to source and ultimately to ourselves, because we are that. We are source, right? And so I just want to speak to what I am finding as my life preservers. I have, trust me, hit rock bottom in my life. I have swam to the depths of despair. I have been in hopeless states. I have been in extreme, excruciating pain for extended periods of time. Emotional pain, physical pain, mental pain, spiritual crisis. And what I have found is that when I tether in to the truth of who I truly am, I'm more able to anchor into putting this crazy ass world into context. And if you're on the awake tip, if you're in the awakening process, you know that shit's fucked up on the planet. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything here. And I'm not gonna fucking like, it is what it is. It's just real talk. And so, yeah, our circumstances can be so overwhelming that they can zap our joy and our access to joy and our access to rest and relaxation and regeneration. So the things that anchor me really strongly are, and it anchored me, okay, I'm just gonna say, and I've said this more than once on here, but when it was down to life and death from moment to moment, it was like when you're in the tunnel and it's literally life and death. I have been there more than once. When you're in the tunnel and it's moment to moment, this could be someone who's in physical pain, you know, mental anguish, whatever it is. When you go into the life and death, literally everything comes down to the breath. Comes down to the inhale. You inhale, you focus on the inhale, you focus on the exhale. You come into the next inhale, you come to the next exhale. That, for me, breath, literally, it comes down to breath. Breath can make you or break you. And in my breathwork practices over the years, I have found that breath can take me into psychedelic, visionary, expanded states of consciousness. We'll put it like that, because a lot of times when people hear the word psychedelic, they think hallucination, and hallucination is like when something's being made up in your mind. When we're having visionary, expanded states of consciousness, these are not, like materializations of some thought. It's a felt, embodied experience, and I have gone there on breath alone more than once, and I know that breath has many powers and abilities. It sustains us in the human body. I mean, we can go without food and water for a while, but going without breath, that's like the one key thing that keeps us in the body. It's the life force energy that's passing through the breath, right? The consciousness rides on the breath to utilize the earth body spacesuit. And so as I develop my breath work, and you guys know I'm really focused on the conscious breath work that Wim Hof teaches. There's so much science around that, in what it has the ability to do. It's fucking phenomenal, and it's incredible, and I'm finding that it's helping me not only get my mind right, because he talks about how it is a tool to heal. He says his words are to heal all physical and mental disorders. So he says people who have bipolar, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, trauma, PTSD, Lyme disease, Crohn's disease, all the autoimmune, rheumatoid arthritis, cancer, on and on and on. He's had countless cases of people come to him who are doing their own healing on their own terms with the breath and with the cold therapy. And I mean, like before I really got really into Wim Hof method, which I'm doing now with the breath and the cold therapy and the meditation. I mean, during cancer, I was getting to the beach as much as I possibly could, and I was finding my healing in nature, healing with the foods, and then healing with relationships with people who can hold quality relationships of mutuality. As mammals, I truly believe that we need community. We need community that can show up and be willing to do the work together. And these are high-level skills that we need to practice. We weren't taught any of this. They didn't teach us breath work in school. They didn't teach us how to commune with the elements in school. They didn't teach us how to eat nutritiously in school. They didn't teach us the value and the necessity of being in right relationship with self and community. So these are the things. It's like it's simplifying and simplifying and simplifying and finding our way. Finding our way to be healthy and balanced and to temper the intensity of being a human on the planet right now. We've got to find the places that bring us the feeling of being alive, the reasons to live, the joy, the pleasure, the euphoria of breathing and eating something delicious, or eye gazing with somebody that you love, or putting your hands in the sand, or jumping into cold water and just like, oh yeah, I'm in a body. Oh yeah, I'm more than this fucking 9-to-5 job and this student loan debt and the fucking credit card debt and the medical debt and the social etiquette and the way I have to pretend in society for people to fucking accept me. Fuck that. Literally, fuck that. I'm sick of that shit. I'm sick of the social etiquette into us to assimilate. You know, and it's like when you're in the awakening process, this society doesn't want us waking up. They give us a whole plethora of ways to go back asleep at all times. Everything's designed to get us to check out or to be so distracted with survival mode that at the end of the day, we don't want to tune in. We want to tune the fuck out and not feel. You know? Because it's like life's too intense, so I'm just going to drink this glass of wine to take the edge off of my life that is just mediocre at best. And a lot of people don't even want to name it. They won't even admit it to somebody they trust or themselves. A lot of us won't admit it to ourselves. Because it's like, well, then what? Well, you know, here's the silver lining. The then what thing is when you tune in, that's where all the treasures are. That's where all the fucking goodies are at. Trust me. I have lived to tell you. All the goodies are inside of you. God is inside of you. The truth, inside of you. Every answer to every question, inside of you. So let's figure out what we need to feel safe enough to start to tune in to the wholeness of who we are and to the truth of who we truly are. When we start to tune in, we start to tune in also to the shadow. So we need to know, what do I need to feel safe and resourced enough to come in and take a look at my truth, the wholeness of me. How can I make a space for all aspects of me to be integrated and loved? So when we integrate the shadow, when we love what we find in the shadow, we end up befriending it, neutralizing it, loving it, and adding to our wellness, adding to our health and well-being. And then when we do that for ourselves, we can hold space for others. It all starts inside. I don't even know if you guys can see me. There's like a light on me and I can't really see the screen. So let me just drop in for a second because I've been really rambling here. Listen to the rain. And that rain is a reminder to us in this moment. I hope you can hear it on here, that you are the magic. You are the medicine. You actually are, whether you know it or not, blessed beyond belief. You are exquisite and gorgeous. You are worthy. You are love. You're lovable. And when you take the time to drop in and love yourself and hold all pieces and parts and aspects of you tenderly and reintegrate the fragmented aspects of your being into wholeness, that is love. So you're giving the love that you long for to yourself when you do this. Thank you for just, if you made it this far, who knows if you did or not, but if you made it this far, know that you are precious and that you deserve to live the life that you envision in your heart, and that truly all the treasures that you seek in life are within you. And I truly believe that the more simple life is, the more we can enjoy it. And when we return to what is truly important, then we can savor the preciousness of life. Even the fucking shit. Because for me, now on the other side of having been through what I've been through, I'm like, dude, I even savor the shit. I do. I savor the heartache. I savor the heartbreak. I savor every moment because I'm like, I'm never going to get these moments back. Every moment is precious. I love you. Peace.